Hi, I'm Cassie Villela. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for coming. So today I'm going to talk about something a little bit different than normal. If you've been here before, you know that I typically talk about real estate investing, home maintenance, gardening, kind of home and garden, just everything related to protecting your home. And so if you like that kind of stuff, then click subscribe. But today I'm going to make a different kind of video. So you may not know that I am kind of a low-key prepper. I don't have a bunker in the backyard, but I do like to be prepared. I like to have supplies. I like to know what's going on and be ready for it. So I thought, given what's happened last week here in Texas, the Snowvid, Snowmageddon, the freeze that came through, it would be a good time to talk about this stuff. I think people are paying attention to it right now, and I think it would be great if everybody did as much as they could to be prepared so that the next time something happens, we're ready and we can help our neighbors and work together. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So one of my favorite websites in terms of preparedness is actually Ready.gov. And that is a website that's connected with FEMA. So it's ready, like ready, set, go, .gov. And I think it has a lot of really good information and it's very concise. I think it does a really good job of bringing all the resources together so that you can quickly understand what it is you need to do to be ready. And so we're going to look at that website together, and I will comment on, how we implement those things, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here we are on the website, ready.gov. Like I said, you can see that I just think that the layout's really nice. It's very user-friendly. It has kind of everything you could want right here on the front page. So the first tab here goes through all of the different types of disasters and emergencies that you could experience. And, if you have anxiety, maybe don't read through this list. I think though, depending on where you are, you want to kind of look through these and see which would actually apply. I mean, who would have thought that San Antonio, Texas would have been frozen for a week? So I guess maybe that's the wrong way to look at it. But, typically, San Antonians aren't really going to worry about earthquakes, right? So it has all of the different things that you can click on and get more information about those specific things. But the first thing I think that you should focus on in getting ready is the emergency alerts and being informed about what's going on. So you need to have a plan on, how are you going to find out what's happening if, I don't watch the news, I don't have TV, so how do I figure out what's going on? But I'm somebody who checks the weather and kind of checks what's going on. Also, my mom texts me when there's something because she knows I don't pay attention to the news. So, have somebody in your life that will text you and say hey, there's a winter freeze coming. You need to be prepared. You can also, this talks about the alerts that get sent to your phone. I know people who turn those off because they find them annoying, but I leave them on because I want to know what's going on. And then you can also get one of those crank radios for, I don't know about you guys, but during the weather last week, I experienced for 2 days, my phone would not work. It just wouldn't work. So I couldn't really look up information on the internet, or I couldn't text people and find it out. And that was actually like a pretty scary thing. I mean, luckily my husband's phone worked, so I wasn't, we were able to get the information we needed. But, if his hadn't, I would have been freaking out a little bit. So they do make radios that will tune in to the NOAA weather channel, and so you can get alerts in an emergency. So I'm going to buy one of those after that experience of last week myself. So that's the first thing that they do is kind of they recommend, figuring out what emergencies you could face in your area and how you're going to become aware of what's happening. And then from there, the next thing you should do is make a plan. So I think that this is really important. And I think even sometimes like preppers will kind of get bogged down in like supplies and like hoarding supplies and having like, their bug out bags and all of this stuff ready. But maybe not as much on making the plan and communicating it to the family, So we need to also make sure like where is everybody meeting up in these different situations. If there's a fire, where is everybody going to meet so that we know everybody got out okay? You do this in schools, in workplaces. You have fire drills, you have tornado drills. We do those, but a lot of times we forget to do them at home. And so it's important to explain to everybody, hey, we're going to practice this. Let's pretend there's a fire and everybody go meet out at the tree so that your kids can get used to it. The plans that they have, so they have, a PDF that you can download that talks about how to make a family emergency communication plan. One thing I've done, and because we'll talk about this in a second, but we have something we jokingly call a bug out bag in each of our vehicles. And it has, emergency kit in it. But part of that emergency kit is I have the family emergency communication plan. Like I have it printed out and I have it in each backpack with the phone numbers, because how many phone numbers do you have memorized? Like none, right? So you need to write down phone numbers, write down the plan, and make sure everybody who is in the emergency has access to that. So I think that's really, really important. They have one here that's like just a fillable card, like it's real short. Just having a plan, making sure that everybody knows the plan. And then I did see on here, which was a good idea, to designate a person that doesn't live near you. So a person, preferably even in another state or something, that's not experiencing the same disaster that you are, that everybody can text to kind of say like, here's where I am, here's what's going on. Because if you're in an emergency situation, your phone is not going to be super reliable. You may not be able to send out or receive texts. So if you have two people that are in this situation where the phones aren't working much and they're trying to communicate with each other, it's not going to happen, right? Like if my phone is barely sending and receiving text and so is, my husband's, well, the likelihood of us getting a text through to each other is low. But if we both text a third party who has reliable phone service because they're not in the same disaster that we are, then that person can then be aware of that and try to help coordinate. So I think that's a really good idea and something that I will definitely start to implement now. So after you make a plan, the next thing they suggest is building a kit. And I already talked about, we have a bug out bag in each car. Our vehicle bug out bags have, kind of what you would expect in a vehicle, like the flashlight, a utility knife, duct tape. We also have sunscreen, like in case you have to walk a long way if the car breaks down or whatever. So we have sunscreen in there. Let's see, we have like granola bars and food, a life straw, the filtering straw. We just have different things that the idea of that kit is to get me somewhere, like get me to shelter, get me to like, so it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to have a ton of food in it. But it is useful. I also really like paracord. We have that in every kit. We have a lot of that in every kit. And that's even in non-emergencies has come in handy so many times where we needed to fix something and I'm like, I got the bug out bag, Same thing with like matches and, let me see, like duct tape is always, of course, something that comes in handy. So just having that, and this website gives you, it gives you a PDF list, first aid kit, of course. I don't like the first aid kits that you can buy like as a first aid kit. I feel like they don't have very much stuff in them, actually. I like to build my own, and it ends up being cheaper if you just build your own. And if you're going to make a whole bunch of bug out bags, one for every vehicle, and then like a family kit, you're going to need several different ones. So you might as well buy like an entire box of Band-Aids, like larger amounts of materials, and then just put them in a Ziploc bag as your first aid kit and just write first aid on it. So that's what I like to do anyway. That would be in a car. So, and then our home supply kit, I think the most important one that, preppers always talk about it being the most important thing. And then we really all felt that here in Texas last week is water. Water is something we take for granted. We use it all the time. And, when it's not there, like I've talked to so many people in the last few days who just have been so felt like they couldn't function. They couldn't do anything, even if it wasn't something that they needed water for. They kind of like their brains were just off because of that strange feeling of not having water. So definitely be prepared with water. They recommend 1 gallon per person per day. So if you have a family of 4, that's 4 gallons a day. You need to have at least 3 days. This is one like I wish they would bump that up a little bit. I mean, I get why they say at least 3 days. That could be a lot for some people, especially the hardest thing with water is the storage. Like, where are you going to store all of these gallons of water? But in the disaster we had last week, if your water went out, if your pipes froze on Monday, then you didn't get it back till Friday. That's more than 3 days. So I like to have at least a week set aside of water. One thing that you can do if you aren't, somebody who can store a ton of water all over the house, you can just wait until, you see a upcoming emergency, a hurricane is coming, there's a freeze coming. And while you have water, you can just fill up as many containers as you can. I did that. Even though we had a lot of gallons of drinking water, I still filled up so many containers of water. And my kids were like making fun of me because this ended several days ago, but I still have a lot of the containers of water on the counter because I just still kind of feel like, I don't know, should we dump them out? What if we need some water? So, you can do that, fill them up with water. An easy thing is you can fill the bathtubs up with water. And then, then you can use that. I mean, obviously you probably wouldn't drink that, but you could use it to flush toilets or, wash your hands, wash dishes, things like that. So fill the bathtubs up, fill some containers up, get some gallons of drinking water. I store ours under the bed. Like our bed is raised a little bit. So I just buy like sort of flat water containers and slide them under. Works just fine. Then food. Food is also, the obvious one. The hard thing is that you want to make sure that it's food that you have the ability to cook in an emergency. So, we eat a lot of rice and beans because I don't cook meat. So we have a lot of rice and beans on hand all the time. So we always have, months worth of food ready. But in this emergency, I couldn't cook beans or rice because I didn't have power. And we had water, but if we hadn't had water, that wouldn't have been possible at all. To me, canned food is a good alternative because that's something that, in a pinch, even if you had to eat it cold, but it's also something that's a little bit easier to warm up. And so that I always have like a ton of granola bars on hand just because they, the kids will eat them. They taste okay and they don't take up very much space and they have some good calories. Dried fruit really helped this past week. Dried fruit was kind of like the thing that really made everybody happy because that's something that's sweet. It's kind of like a treat. We ate almost our whole supply of dried fruit. The kids did. So things like that, and this website will also give you an idea of some different food. if you're going to have cans as part of your canned food as part of your emergency kit, then obviously you want to have a manual can opener, not an electric one. Thinking about things like that, any appliance or anything that you use that's electric is not going to work during a disaster. So I was really annoyed because I like to drink fancy coffee, so I like to grind my own beans each morning, and my coffee grinder is electric, and I didn't have a manual one. So that was not exactly fun. So, anything like that, I should have bought a hand crank coffee grinder, right? And then cell phone, a backup battery. So you can go through here and see like more in-depth things to put in your kit. Our kit, I just keep in the garage in this huge tub. I keep it under a lot of other things so the kids won't get into it, because it has obviously, like fire starters, and mine, I have like a portable camping stove, and then like the cans of butane to power that. So, obviously I don't want the kids to find that. So I have it sort of locked away in the garage, hidden away. But it's nice if it's all in one place, because when a disaster is happening, you're kind of frantic. I think even if you're somebody who's prepared, it just makes you anxious and worried. So you don't want to be running all over the house. Like, I know I have this. Where is it? Go get the box out of the garage. That's just really, really cuts down on the stress and anxiety. And then paper plates and paper bowls, that really helps. I'll be honest, we use compostable paper plates and bowls almost all the time, because I'm a super busy working mom and I don't have time to do dishes all the time. So we have been doing that for a few months. It's a lifesaver. But in this situation, it was definitely a lifesaver, because we didn't really have, we didn't want to be doing dishes all the time. So, and if you didn't have water and you couldn't do dishes, well, paper plates, you just throw them away. It's great. It mentions here books, games, puzzles for children. And Ready.gov has a tab for specifically for planning with kids. And it's really awesome, actually. So I homeschool, and my kids and I are doing the things on this website this week as like our school time, because it's really neat. So there's this activity book. They have like computer games on here. They have like worksheets that the kids can do and little activities and things. So I think it would be really good to make it fun, kind of introduce everything to the kids, so that when the emergency happens, they understand, like they've practiced it, they know. So that was something that my kids, during this disaster last week, they've never been in that situation. They didn't understand like how crucial it was. Like, you cannot waste water. You cannot, the different things. We were like, you can't go outside and get freezing cold because we don't have heat. We don't have a way to get you warm again. It was just hard to really stress to them how, you just need to listen to me. Like, I always joke, if it was me and my kids on Bird Box, like, they would be just dead immediately, because they would just take off the mask immediately. They don't listen. So I'm doing this with them in hopes that, next time around, they understand the plan, they work with us a little bit better. And then on this, so this is like a little activity book. If you didn't want to print that out, they do actually have where you can order not only this activity book, but basically anything on this website that is like a downloadable thing you could print. You can actually order it to be sent to your house for free. Those checklists and things that we were looking at earlier, if you didn't want to print these out, you can order them right here. And I will include this link in the video description. But that's just really, really neat. I'm thinking about getting some of these sent. So you just, put in your information and it's free. So that's definitely take advantage of that. So that's it. I mean, go through this, prepare your family, make a plan, get your each vehicle should have a kit, and then your home should have a kit. And then I guess if there was like another place you might go to in an emergency, you should have a kit there as well. So you need to check the kits once a year. And so there is a National Preparedness Month. So September is the month that you can focus on it. So it would be great every September, sit down, check the bug out bags, check, because, the food might go bad. Canned food does eventually go bad. I like to cycle it out. So, about once every year or two, I'll take the cans that are in the disaster kit and put them in the pantry and put new cans in the disaster kit. So, because I really hate food waste. And so you can do that once a year in September, go over your plan with the family once a year in September. It's just a good thing, a good habit to get into. Then one more thing with, just that occurs to me because of what we just went through, being familiar with your home and all of the different systems in your home is really important in a disaster. So being familiar with where is your water shut off? This past week, that was such a hard thing for so many people because their pipes froze. And if your pipes freeze, you need to cut the water off so that the pressure doesn't break them. So there were so many people who didn't know how to do that, right? And that's something that, again, when you're in an emergency situation, your brain is not going to be thinking clearly. You're going to be kind of in a panic. So you need to already know that before the disaster happens. So figure out where your water main is, how to turn it off. They make a tool that I can link in the description that's not expensive, that makes it really easy to cut it off. In seconds, you could just do it with very little effort, but you can also use pliers to do it. Figure out how to do that so that in an emergency, you're not trying to learn a new skill with possibly very little internet connection. You know what I mean? Like, can't have a YouTube in an emergency. Figure out where that is. Figure out where your electrical panel is and, how breakers work and, just things like that so that it, when that disaster hits, you can protect your home. Maybe I'll make a video about that someday, like just kind of the different, like where a water main is and actually show it in the video. Maybe that would be a good idea. But just be prepared, make a plan, build your kits, talk with your neighbors, get to know your neighbors is another really important one that Ready.gov actually talks about, getting involved with your community, getting to know everybody. In our, last week for us, our water didn't go out. We had water the whole time. But two of our neighbors did not have water. Their pipes froze. And so I left my back door unlocked and they could just come and go and get water out of our mudroom like as they needed. But, they had my number. They knew, we're friends. So they knew to do that. They knew we were checking on each other. Hey, are you okay? What do you need? Kind of everybody helping each other, which is really important because my friends don't live anywhere near me, right? They live miles and miles away. When there's snow and ice on the ground and the roads are closed, they can't come help me. My family can't come help me. Only my neighbors are there to help me. So, get to know your neighbors, build community locally where you are, make plans even, talk about this stuff. This is the time to talk about it because it's fresh on everybody's mind. Everybody just went through it. Everybody just saw what happens in a disaster if you're not prepared. So now is the time to say like, hey, let's talk about this at the next HOA meeting. Talk about it. Let's make a plan. Just bring it up. I think it's really important. Do the things. If you have any more tips, if you are a more hardcore prepper than I am and you have better tips than I do, please comment. Let us know if you have any resources that you like. Definitely let us know. And I'll see you next time. And remember, like and subscribe.